Welcome to Healthy Living. I'm Lori Johnson. Today we're talking about a way each one of us can help someone struggling with cancer, even if we don't really know that person. I'm talking about a cancer care ministry in your home church. My guest is Reverend Percy McCray, who leads a nationwide effort to put cancer care ministries in each and every home church in America, regardless of size. Welcome, Reverend McCray. Great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Oh, it's so good to be here, and thank you for having me, my dear. It's my pleasure.
Well, we want you to explain how you train people to operate cancer care ministries in their home churches. But first, tell us about how this started. How did you discover there are cancer patients in every church with really critical needs that aren't being met?
Well, great question. Over my 20-plus year career serving in healthcare as a hospital pastor and chaplain, I had obviously the opportunity and the benefit of speaking with, praying for, and supporting hundreds and thousands of people, believers, people who belong to faith-based organizations. And surprisingly, many of them did not have any real solid cancer care support back in their local churches. And so on one serendipitous day, a particular patient of mine that I was serving and supporting inside of our facility asked if I would be willing to sit down and basically share some pointers and tips with her local pastor and his ministerial consortium. And so we did that, a very makeshift PowerPoint presentation that I put together. And from there, really the reality and the mission and the vision of our journey of hope was birthed from that experience. And so we started very slowly and began going to local churches and doing seminars and workshops. And then over the years, we became more sophisticated to the place of where we are right now, where we have churches who come to any one of our participating facilities throughout the United States to participate in 2 free days of training that will allow them to go back to their local churches and start cancer care ministry. So that's how we began, and that's how we started. To answer your first question, secondly, the way that we do that is that we provide a free cancer care leadership training seminar. It comprises of 2 days, all online, virtually being done, where we provide curriculum and materials, speakers, doctors, clinicians that helps laity, pastors, spiritual leaders to understand some of the more practical elements and nuances about cancer, and certainly with regard to ministry to cancer patients and their caregivers. So that's all being done virtually online for 2 days. It's absolutely free of charge. And we now have trained somewhere in the neighborhood of close to about 2,000 churches who have started ministries as a result of the Our Journey of Hope Cancer Care Leadership Training Program.
That is fantastic. So you're saying that basically lay people can almost be sort of like hospital chaplains. That's how this all started out when you were a hospital chaplain. So as a refresher, so 2 people from a church take the training course that you say you offer for free, and then these 2 people learn a lot during that 2-day period and take that information back to their church, and then the cancer ministry blossoms in that church. Is that right?
That is correct. In theory and principle, those 2 representatives would hopefully be able to go back to their local church and possibly head up and be that leader of their own cancer care ministry program. They begin to recruit individuals who would like to work with cancer patients. They would do training. We provide them with all of the curriculum and all of the training materials so that they can indoctrinate and orient those individuals within their local church. And then at some point, they can begin to launch their very own cancer care ministry program right there inside of their local church. That is correct.
Regarding that 2-day online seminar, how do people get involved in that? Where do they get information about signing up for that?
Well, they first can go to the Our Journey of Hope website. And so it's Our Journey of Hope, all lowercase, all one word, ourjourneyofhope.com. And that will be the launching pad where you can basically begin to get some information, and then you'll be able to access our calendar so that you can register online. And again, registration is free as well, and find scheduled training courses throughout the year. I believe we have 6 or 7 that are scheduled as we speak, even right now. And then you would register online, and then that registration process will filter through to us. We'll follow back up with you, and then you will basically receive information for a link to join a virtual training session at the appointed time and day, and then be able to come right online and tap right into, again, a cohort with a leader that will step you through our online curriculum and our resources, all available online and accessible, and again, all free of charge.
It's interesting that the training is a 2-day course. Why do people need so much training? In other words, what are some of the do's and don'ts when it comes to interacting with parishioners who have been diagnosed with cancer?
Well, actually, so to clarify, it's 2 half days because we wanted to break the information up because there are a lot of nuanced information that we try to disseminate to the cohorts, but it's 2 half days of training. But within those 2 days, and as an example, we talk about do's and don'ts, as you just mentioned, Lori, and people simply, one of the reasons why there are not as many cancer care ministries that actually have started is because no one has actually sat down to teach or train individual on things that they should do and things that they should not do. For example, on hospital visitations, many people really do not do effective hospital visitations, again, because no one basically oriented them. So for example, when you go into a hospital room, as some protocol, stop off at the nurse's station, introduce yourself, and try to get a sense of how the patient may be faring in terms of being up for a visit. And then once you go to the patient's room, knock on the patient's door and ask for permission to enter a patient's room. You'd be surprised how many people simply enter into a patient's room and they may be in a compromised position where they may be having some dressings changed or on a bed pad, those sorts of things. So again, never sit on a patient's bed that you do not know personally because that is their private and personal space. Ask for permission to turn down their television when you're speaking to them. All subtle nuances, but very important with regard to, from a chaplain's experience of over 20 years, things that will make a hospital visit much more effective at the end of the day of patients being receptive and responsive. You know, not asking a lot of personal questions, allowing the patient to drive the bus conversationally, if you will. So we step through a whole host of elements along those lines that will give people confidence and working practical resources and tools that'll make their cancer care support effective and efficient when they enter into that environment.
You know, it occurs to me that this information is fantastic for ministering to people in your church who have cancer, but also people in your everyday life who have cancer and other diseases as well. One of my good friends went through cancer, and she shared with me how hurtful it was to her when she would talk about her treatment and people would say, "Oh, no, no, you don't need to be doing that. You know, that chemotherapy, that's bad for you," and you shouldn't say things like that. And another thing she shared was that someone would say, "Oh, I know someone who had that type of cancer and they died." Little things like that. Is that the type of thing that you teach in your courses?
Absolutely, Laura. You must have been a graduate of our Journey of Hope, I tell you, because at the end of the day, particularly with regard to the way that we communicate and converse with cancer patients and their caregivers are absolutely crucial. Not sharing horror stories of other people's bad experiences from a cancer care perspective. Cancer patients are already nervous, in some cases fearful, and then unconsciously, we then share bad news or negative information with people that then puts them further in greater fear.
This is great information. It affects all of us. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with Reverend Percy McCray about how you can start a cancer care ministry in your home church. Stay with us.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug-of-war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline, Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
We're back with Reverend Percy McCray talking about how you can start a cancer care ministry in your home church. And once again, the website is ourjourneyofhope.com, right?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
So when you talk about cancer care ministry, once people who want to be a part of the ministry are trained, they know what to do and what not to do. How do they meet the needs of cancer patients in their church? What types of things do they do? I'm guessing making meals, but surely it goes beyond that.
Absolutely. Cancer care ministry, a ministry to the members of the congregation, certainly extends much further than providing a meal for individuals, which is great within its own place. But cancer care ministry within the context of the Our Journey of Hope methodology really empowers those faith leaders, laity, and et cetera inside of a local church to really to begin to develop relationship with those members of their congregation. And so part of the mentality and the execution of this training is to orient everyone around practical resources. And we have a plethora of online resources that will be provided to them, as well as in their training manual and et cetera. But key to this at the end of the day is creating a rapport and relationship with members inside of their local churches that they can then begin walk alongside them in their journey. Because key to cancer care ministry, and it may surprise people, is not so much of what you want to do for them as much as understanding what it is that they need and want. So first and foremost, getting to know who those individuals are, spending some time with them, and then allowing them to dictate the tone and the tempo, and obviously the particular related needs that they may have. And every cancer journey is unique and different, as we all should know, just like every cancer is unique and different. But again, it's all about creating rapport and relationship and then applying those practical needs. It may require helping them with going to the grocery store or helping them with lawn care. Again, we need to first determine what the needs of the cancer patient is and allow them to kind of help us understand how to frame and shape support around them accordingly. So it's very much about rapport building and relationship generating.
Well, I was actually reading on your website, and you said every church has cancer patients in it, which is actually very sad how prevalent cancer is, even congregations of 200 people. But how do you get people who have a cancer diagnosis to come forward and say, yes, I would like to take part in this ministry. Yes, I need help. Because aren't they a little closed off, as you said? Aren't they sort of afraid to tell anybody?
Well, again, you're correct. According to the American Cancer Society, the last set of data that was reported is that according to their numbers, that 1 out of 3 people are potentially expected to be diagnosed with cancer at some point in their lifetime. So if you just did some math based upon the population of the United States of America, and then started doing math of how many of those people potentially are sitting inside of a local church as believers, those numbers basically are pretty high. And so what I understood over the years is that probably the number one healthcare request for prayer is in the average church is cancer, 2 to 3 people minimum. And so with that being said, they're sitting there in many cases. You're right, they may be sitting there quietly, and primarily it is because probably they do not have a confidence, number one, that there is an engaged ministry of people who have been trained and oriented. So what's key to this ministry, first and foremost, particularly if the pastor is not part of the actual cancer care ministry itself inside of their local church, and they probably would not, they would delegate that to someone that would run that ministry as they do other ministries in their church. But what becomes crucial to build confidence and possibly a sense of safety is that the pastor needs to stand before the congregation and cast the vision. Just like any other initiative that the church is endeavoring to do, the pastor needs to stand up with a full-throated endorsement and talk about this is the next step of what we want to do as a local congregation, and then reassure members of the congregation that those who are going to be facilitating this training, they've been trained, they have a certificate, they've sat in the confines of healthcare providers who work specifically with cancer care, cancer patients, which is the team that we have assembled. All of our chaplains and all of our facilitators work every day with cancer patients and their caregivers, and then begin to create a sense of confidence within the local church to say, here is an available ministry that's now going to be accessible to you, and begin to generate, hopefully, a confidence that will allow those individuals to say, let me step forward and let the pastor or let the church know that I'm a cancer patient and that I'd like to have some support and those that can surround me. And by and large, that does not become difficult to do once the pastor has endorsed and the pastor has reassured that there's been some training that's been facilitated that will allow those individuals to be effective and trustworthy with that ministry and with that relationship.
All right, this is wonderful information. I'm sure a lot of people are going to take advantage of this ministry, cancer care ministry in your home church. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with Reverend Percy McCray. Stay tuned.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5 Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
Welcome back. We're talking with Reverend Percy McCray about how to start a cancer care ministry in your home church. Reverend McCray, can you give us some examples of success stories? This has been around for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. We have churches and affiliations all across the world now, throughout the United States and outside of the United States. But two ministries that kind of stand out in my mind is one particular husband and wife who started a cancer care ministry on the island of Hawaii, came all the way over to do their training and went back and have been so successful that they also garnered support from a local cement company that put their logo on the side of the barrels of their church that drive of their trucks and drive all over the island of Hawaii advertising their cancer care ministry. That's how much work they've done and how impressive they've been with members on the island of Hawaii. So that's one group that stands out in my mind, George and Jeannie Stewart in Hawaii. They're doing fabulous work. And then there is a police chaplain and a fire chaplain out of one of the rural areas of Georgia who brought all of his police officers and firefighters to do an actual training of our journey of hope. Because again, in many cases of what they see and dealing with sickness and disease, and he thought it would be important. So he started a consortium of first responders who now have come and have been trained by our journey of hope in the event that they ever have to deal with individuals who are dealing with sickness and disease. And so our journey of hope has reached really around the world in very unique expressions. And one of the great things about the program is that it can take on a life of its own depending on the reach and the scope and the vision of the local church. And so we're just ecstatic, and we thank God for just a couple of those examples that I can share. But there's so many more churches throughout the U.S. That are doing great and mighty things with our journey of hope.
So if a person receives ministry when they're going through their cancer treatment and they get better, they recover from their cancer, do they often become cancer ministers themselves to other people?
You know, actually they do. So this is an important point, particularly when you're recruiting inside of your local churches. Some of the best recruits for people to become part of a cancer care ministry are people who have actually experienced a journey of cancer or supported someone who has gone through a journey of cancer. But many of those individuals do begin working with those cancer care ministries or starting their own cancer care ministry or writing a book about cancer or starting an online support group. So there are many different iterations as a result of individuals who have come in contact with this type of support. And so we thank God for that type of multiplication, even beyond the initial group themselves. They're planting seeds and they're building a vineyard of warriors who are supporting cancer patients literally all over the world.
Indeed. All glory to God. We're going to take one last break and be right back with Reverend Percy McCray. Stay tuned.
I am Regent's first ROTC graduate student.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm Ephraim Graham. Welcome to Studio 5.
Get on it.
All that's new and now in the world of uplifting entertainment with celebrity interviews.
There's a higher contribution I will make.
Musical performances.
I'll give you my best praise.
Plus movie and TV news.
See it and be uplifted.
On Studio 5. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern at cbn.com/Studio 5.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
We're talking with Reverend Percy McCray with Our Journey of Hope, a cancer care ministry organization, planting cancer care ministries all over the country. And, you were talking about how God has blessed this ministry. Do you ever see people who have cancer who feel like it's actually a blessing in disguise?
Well, you're looking at one of them. I was recently diagnosed over a year ago with colon cancer myself, so I'm now part of the club. And indeed, one of the amazing things that I've heard over the years and that I have now experienced myself is the fact that I never asked the question, why me, but why not me? And many cancer patients actually end up doing exactly the same, that they feel that their cancer in many ways was a blessing for them. It was a wake-up call. It gave them a reprioritization of what was important in their life, a refocus, if you will. I've had pastors who have actually said that they become changed people as ministers and becoming more empathetic and compassionate toward people, even though they had been in the ministry for years. So cancer has an amazing way, through the grace of God, to really internalize and do some things with us that only the hand of God can facilitate, in terms of a disposition and an attitude that is saying, instead of saying, why me, then those of us can say, why not me? And here am I, Lord, send me. And so you're absolutely correct. And that absolutely can be a feeling and an impression that many cancer patients experience and certainly have as they grow through their battle and as they get on the other side of their journey, that they believe that it was a blessing in disguise and that God used that for their glory, for his glory, to allow them to do great and mighty things.
What a hopeful way to end the program. Unfortunately, we're out of time now. Reverend McCray, before we let you go, tell our viewers once again how they can find out more.
Please call or reach out to me at Our Journey of Hope, all one word, all lowercase, ourjourneyofhope.com. Our program is free of charge. We've reached thousands across the world, and we're looking forward to partnering with you and your local church today. The world needs what you have, and anybody can do this ministry. And so thank you for the opportunity to partner with you and your local community as we continue to make a mark in the earth that cannot be erased.
Amen. Well, you're doing an amazing work, and I'm sure with God's help, it will continue to grow and bless people around the country. Reverend Percy McCray, thanks for being here. Great to see you.
Thank you. God bless, and I appreciate the opportunity. Be well and be safe. Wash your hands. Wash your hands.
God bless you and your team. And that's it for this edition of Healthy Living. I'm Lori Johnson. Thanks for joining us. And to watch more Healthy Living shows, log on to cbnnews.com and click on the shows link. Until next time, take care, everyone. Bye now.